write stories for rebel girls. Imagine a world where women had no rights, no education, no voice, no freedom to chase their dreams. But some women didn't accept that. They broke the rules, changed history. They became the voice of millions. But do you know their stories? Do you realize how different the world would be without them? Today, on International Women's Day, let's honor the women who shaped our world. Get ready to be inspired. Lella Lombardi, the Formula One racer. Once there was a girl who liked to help her father deliver meats in their van. Every time they had a delivery, she would jump into the driver's seat and her father would time her. Her name was Maria Grazia, but everybody called her Lella. Lella was so good at driving that she set a new record with each delivery. Everyone in town got used to seeing the Lombardi's van driving at full speed down the hills, with salami bouncing around in the back. When she turned 18, Lella used all her savings to buy a used racing car and started racing professionally. When her parents read the newspaper that she had won the Formula 850 championship, they weren't really surprised. Lella didn't care that she was always the only woman in the race. She just drove as fast as she could to become a Formula One racing driver. Her first attempt was a flop. She didn't even qualify. But the next year, she found a good manager, a sponsor, and a fantastic car. White with the Italian flag on the nose. During the Spanish Grand Prix, Lella finished 6th, becoming the first ever female driver to score points in a Formula One race. Despite her success, the team decided to hire another driver, a man. And Lella realized that Formula One still wasn't ready to accept women drivers. She continued to race all her life. No other female has yet beaten her Formula One record. I prefer racing to falling in love. Lella Lombardi. Ruth Harkness, the explorer. A long time ago, zoos didn't know much about how to care for the animals they acquired. It was rare for an exotic animal to survive the trip to America. Visitors were used to seeing dead, stuffed animals. It was hard to feel sympathy for a stuffed animal. So when Ruth's husband decided to bring back a live panda from China, it was a big deal. Sadly, just a few months after arriving in China, her husband died. Ruth was a fashion designer in New York City and knew little about China. But she missed her husband, and she loved adventures. So she thought, I'll finish what Bill started. I'll go to China and bring back a live panda. In China, Ruth hiked through the thickest forests, climbed her way up to ancient monasteries, followed rivers by day, and made fire by night. One night she heard a sound. Ruth followed the noise into the forest and found a baby panda in a hollow tree. She took it in her arms and didn't know what to do. She gave the panda milk. When she was back in the city, she bought a fur coat so the baby panda would feel better when she held it. She called the panda Sulin, and she brought the panda all the way from China to the Chicago Zoo. Tens of thousands of people saw how cute Sulin was and learned that all wild animals deserve respect and love. I don't know whether it will be humanly impossible to get a Panda, but if I feel that it is, I will. Ruth Harkness. Michelle Obama, lawyer and First Lady. Once upon a time, there was a girl who was always afraid. Her name was Michelle Robinson, and she lived in a one-bedroom apartment in Chicago with her family. Maybe I'm not smart enough. Maybe I'm not good enough, she worried. And her mother would say, if it can be done, you can do it. Anything is possible, said her dad. Michelle worked hard. Sometimes teachers told her she should not aim too high because her grades were not that good. Some people said she would never achieve something big because she was just a black girl from the south side of Chicago. But Michelle chose to listen to her parents. Anything is possible, she thought. So she graduated from Harvard and became a lawyer at a big firm. One day, her boss asked her to mentor a young lawyer. His name was Barack Hussein Obama. They fell in love and got married a few years later. One day, Barack told her he wanted to become President of the United States. At first, she thought he was crazy. But then she remembered, if it can be done, you can do it. So she quit her job and helped him on his campaign. Barack won the elections twice, and Michelle became the first African-American First Lady of the United States. No one is born smart, but you can become smart through hard work, is her motto. Always stay true to yourself, and never let what somebody else says distract you from your goals. Michelle Obama. Zaha Hadid, the architect. When Zaha turned 10, she decided that she wanted to be an architect. Zaha was a very determined girl, and she grew up to be one of the greatest architects of our time. She became known as the Queen of the Curve, because the buildings she designed had so many bold, sweeping lines. One day, she boarded a plane at the airport. The pilot explained that there would be a short delay before they could take off. Zaha was outraged and insisted that they put her on a different flight immediately. It was impossible, the crew said. The baggage was already on board, but Zaha insisted, and she got her way. She usually did. That was just who she was. Zaha liked to cross boundaries, to do things everyone else thought were impossible. That is how she created the kind of buildings no one else could even imagine. She designed fire stations, museums, villas, cultural centers, an aquatic center, and much more. Zaha forged her own pathway. She was never afraid of being different. One of her mentors said she was like a plant in her own immutable orbit. She always knew what she wanted and did not rest until she got it. Some say that is the key to achieving anything big in life. Zaha was the first woman to receive the Royal Institute of British Architects Gold Medal. I always thought I was powerful since I was a kid. Zaha Hadid. Nancy Wake, the spy. Once there was a girl who became a secret agent when she was just 16 years old. She traveled by herself from Australia to England and convinced a newspaper to hire her. When the Second World War broke out, she joined the French resistance, the Maquis, in their fight against the Nazis. After escaping to England, Nancy parachuted back into France so she could help train and organize resistance fighters, and rescue British pilots who had been shot down over France. She got them fake identity papers and then ferried them across the mountains to Spain so they could get back to Britain safely. She outwitted the German secret police, the Gestapo, at every turn, and was soon top of their most wanted list. They nicknamed her the White Mouse because she seemed impossible to catch. Nancy was also a great soldier. She was a great shot and never lost her nerve. When her unit suffered a surprise attack by the Germans, she took command of a section whose leader had been killed, and with exceptional coolness, organized the retreat with no further losses. When the war ended and France was finally liberated, Nancy was awarded the George Medal by the British. The French gave her 3 Croix de Guerre medals and the Medaglia de la Resistance. They later made her Knight of the Legion of Honor, their highest award. The Americans awarded her the Medal of Freedom. For goodness sake, did the Allies parachute me into France to fry eggs and bacon for the men? Nancy Wake. These women changed history, but imagine how different the world would be if they never had the courage to stand up. Now, here's the real question. Who's going to be the next woman to change the world? Could it be someone we don't even know yet? Could it be you? Comment below. I'm excited to read your answer. The end.